From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme Three Podcast. Hello and welcome, cinephiles, cinema lovers, and movie appreciators to the Gimme Three Podcast, the podcast where we select three films connected by one theme. I'm Nicholas Ybarra. My co-host Bella F. Stratus is off for the week after she covered my ass for 2 weeks. But this is a very special episode because I'm joined by a familiar voice, LADFF director, Gimme Three producer, and my wife, Sonja Mereu. Sonja, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. Nice to hear your voice on the mic.
Yes, here we are. Sonja, the last time we did an episode, just you and I think we were discussing the late, great Donald Sutherland after he had just passed. I believe.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That is the last time it was just the two of us.
Yeah. Well, today we are honoring the passing of another legend, or honoring another legend, I should say. Perhaps one of the most influential figures in American independent cinema, and thus, I'd say, one of the most influential figures in American cinema, period. We're, of course, talking about the great Robert Redford. Robert Redford was not only an accomplished and revered actor, he starred in so many classics, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Natural, which we got a lot of shit for not discussing The Natural on our baseball episode, so apologies for that. Out of Africa, and dozens of others, including the three that we're going to be discussing today. Redford was a key player in the American New Wave, American cinema, and he helped birth a new American wave of indie cinema with the founding of the Sundance Institute and later the Sundance Film Festival. As a producer, filmmaker, and storyteller, Redford tackled stories from a truly American perspective, films that highlighted both the beauty and the brilliance of our country, as well as the sinister and sometimes seemingly insurmountable darkness of our nation as well, which reads more true right now. For me, though, I don't know. It's hard not to look at Redford as like an optimist when it comes to his artwork and his performances and his message and what he did, not just on the silver screen, but outside of the silver screen. He was a philanthropist. He was an activist. But here we are. We're recording this here in late September of 2025. Volatile times, not only in our nation, around the world. Political extremism is running rampant right now with our current administration. In a sense, I feel like being nice. I'll just say we're flirting with totalitarianism. Well, that's a nice way of saying it. But
ever the optimist, just like Robert Redford.
Exactly. So we thought, actually, it was your suggestion that perhaps we explore some of the classics in Redford's catalog that stared American politics right in the face and explored them. So the three films that we'll be discussing today touch on political corruption, government overreach, government surveillance, and fascism. All sound familiar. These films, they met the moment of their time. They are worth revisiting right now. They are meeting the moment of our time. And I'm going to quote Mr. Redford himself. Here's a quote from Robert Redford. He says, "I believe history has a habit of repeating of itself, that's for sure. But one of the things I'm critical of my country on is that we don't seem to take note of the lessons that history teaches us. My country is pretty prone to everything wanting to be black and white, or red, white, and blue. And in my experience, nothing was ever that simple. No one was dealing with the gray areas. So I decided to become a filmmaker so I could deal with those gray areas." Sonja, before we dive into these incredible political dramas, do you have any overarching or broad thoughts on old Bob before we dive into these films?
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing is I'm sorry to the audience that we're not talking about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but I figured a lot of other people are going to be talking about that right now. So I like that we picked at least one sort of under the radar Robert Redford movie.
Yeah.
And I, as a avid skier, I just wanted to highlight Robert Redford's love of skiing. As you know, he passed away near Provo, Utah. So he was living in one of the great ski areas of our country. And he actually owned a ski resort, which was called the Sundance Ski Resort.
Ah.
And he bought it in 1968. And I believe he owned it for like until 2020.
Wow. And
yeah, he was a very avid skier. He even did at least one film where he played a skier with Gene Hackman. So yeah, I just wanted to call that out. And I guess that's probably part of why he decided to put Sundance in the location that it has been until whatever next year when it moves to Boulder, another ski town.
Yeah, which I this was the first time I even thought about how kind of like romantic it is that Sundance is leaving that location right around the same time that Mr. Robert Redford left us also. Interesting.
Yeah, that's true. But the Sundance Resort is still there. And I believe there is a chairlift and maybe a run named after him. So we can all go ski that this winter.
There you go. There you go.
You won't.
I won't.
You'll be drinking hot cocoa in the hot tub.
Yeah, which I heard Robert Redford also liked hot tubs. So that's my way of paying respects. The best way to pay respects is to watch his work and discuss his work, which is what we're going to do now. And we are going to start with one of my all-time favorite films, All the President's Men from 1976. It's directed by Alan J. Pakula. It's written by William Goldman, based on the book All the President's Men by Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward. The film won 4 Academy Awards. Jason Robards won for Best Supporting Actor. William Goldman won Best Screenplay. It won Best Sound, which has incredible sound, and Best Art Direction and Set Design. So cleaned up at the old Academy Awards that year. So yeah, as I mentioned, one of my favorite films of all time. It's a very odd comfort movie for me. I have very weird comfort movies, Sonja, as you know.
Yes.
This, My Dinner with Andre, Squid and the Whale, End of the Tour. These are the movies that I watch when I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I would put on All the President's Men. That'll make me feel better. I'm a freak. Anyways, one of my favorite openings to a film ever. It starts with a blank page. Then, bam, these letters from the typewriter smash against the page. And the sound design, it sounds like bullets or cannons going off, man. And it just types the words June 17th, 1972, and super macro lens. You're right in there as the ink splatters on the page. June 17th, 1972 is, of course, the day that 5 burglars break into the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Of course, they're caught. They're arrested. It's Watergate. If you haven't heard of it, read a book. Or watch this movie, actually. So the next morning, of course, so you got the Washington Post assigns Bob Woodward, who's played by our guy, Robert Redford. They assign him to this story. Woodward is not exactly a seasoned journalist. He's mostly been regulated to covering rat infestations in local restaurants. But he's hungry. He's green, but he's hungry. And Woodward learns, his investigative journalism, that the 5 men possessed electronic bugging equipment and are represented by a high-priced country club attorney. And at the arraignment, McCord identifies himself in court as having recently left the CIA, and others are revealed to have CIA ties as well. And Woodward connects the burglars to Howard Hunt, an employee of President Richard Nixon's White House counsel, Charles Colson, also formerly of the CIA. It's a lot of names, and it's getting heavy. Carl Bernstein, who's played by Dustin Hoffman, also works at the Washington Post. He's another journalist. He starts seeing the work that Woodward's doing, and he wants in, because this is his kind of story.
How's it going? What are you doing? Polishing. What? Polishing. What's wrong with it? Nothing. It's good.
Then what are you doing with it?
I'm just helping. It's a little fuzzy.
May I have it?
I don't think you're saying what you mean.
I know exactly what I mean.
Not here. I can't tell from this whether Hunt works for Colson or Colson works for Hunt.
May I have it?
And some of your conclusions
May I
aren't
have
clear.
it?
Yes, I'm not looking for a fight.
I'm not looking for a fight either.
I'm just aware of the fact that you've only been here 9 months.
What does that got to do with anything?
Well, I've been in the business since I'm 16.
What are you saying?
Well, I'm trying to tell you that if you'd read mine and then read yours...
May I read yours?
Yeah. I walked by, gave yours a glance. It didn't look right, so I just figured I'd refine it a little. That first paragraph has to have more clarity. The reader's going to understand it. You don't mention Colson's name to the third paragraph. I think mine's better, but you go ahead and read it. If you think yours is better, we'll give yours to the desk. I've got Colson's name up front. He was a White House consultant, and nobody knows
Right.
it.
Yours is better. If you're gonna do it right. Here are my notes. If you're gonna hype it with the facts. I don't mind what you did. I mind the way you did it.
Woodward, Bernstein, you're both on the story. Now don't fuck it up.
The issue with Bernstein is he is more seasoned, sure, but he is sloppy. He is a procrastinator. He is a bit reckless with his writing and his journalism. Woodward and Bernstein, they have very different styles of how they approach journalism. But one thing that they do have in common is they smell something fishy with this Watergate story. So the Washington Post and executive editor Benjamin Bradley, they decide, whatever, we'll put both men on the story. Not because they have the most faith in these two blokes, by the way, just because most people at this time, journalists, politicians, and the general public, think that this story really doesn't amount to shit. There ain't much to this story. We have got it. Some dudes broke in, and that's about all there is. But there is more to the story, as we all know, as they have a hunch. Woodward and Bernstein, they go down this rabbit hole, and that introduces new rabbit holes. With each layer that they peel back, there comes a new fruit entirely. And with each answer they find, more questions arise. They get help from this anonymous government official who calls himself Deep Throat that Woodward has to meet in the parking structure. Kind of freaky, you know? As the story gets deeper, the accusations get heavier. This story starts going up to the top. Higher and higher the names get. Both the journalists and the Washington Post as a newspaper, they have to start putting their careers on the line, their word on their line, their journalistic integrity on the line. My God, they got to put their lives on the line as things get really intense in this political thriller that will make you long for the days of print journalism, long for the days of journalistic integrity, long for the days of truth, which is on its deathbed currently. The film concludes in the offices of the Washington Post as Woodward and Bernstein are banging away at their typewriters while Richard Nixon is being inaugurated. And while they're writing the article about the truth of what happened at Watergate, we hear this familiar sound from the opening of the film also. Bam! Cannons going off. It's the 21-gun salute of Nixon's inauguration. All the president's men. Sonja, what'd you think about it?
Well, I've seen this movie a few times, and I think depending on what's going on in the country and my perspective on what's going on in the country, my experience of the film changes.
Uh-huh.
At one point, it felt more like the past, I guess.
Right.
Not that like the government has ever been honest with us, and there hasn't always been crazy secrets and stuff like that. But yeah, this time I felt like I was watching an instruction manual on like what should be happening and maybe what is happening. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm sure there are journalists with curiosity, integrity, and certain lack of fear.
Oh, certainly there are.
They just happen to be named Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
They work for newspapers. The sad thing is just nobody's reading newspapers except for us. We get the Los Angeles Times delivered to our doorstep every morning, but we're old.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. But but I mean, the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. So I mean, just that alone, watching this movie now is chilling on so many levels. It's an incredible piece of American history. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible thriller that doesn't have to rely on guns or, any kind of overt danger. Right. It's just bubbling right below the surface. And it's also like a great buddy romance. Yeah. Seeing Woodward and Bernstein, like you said, they kind of come from different approaches to journalism. Woodward is restrained by the book. Bernstein's, more cavalier, bends the rules, chain smoking constantly.
Yeah, this movie will make you want a cigarette real bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoking in these movies, but they're all from the 70s. So I guess that's why. But yeah, like not that they're adversarial to begin with, but they're different, and they are kind of, they make some jabs at each other's writing and each other's approach to the story at the beginning. And then, like you said, at the end, they're like literally face to face or facing each other, I guess, looking down at their typewriters, just hard at work, like completely in sync. Like it's like they're typing at almost the exact same moment. Right. And, as we know, they came together to make it like a tangible, unforgettable, historic difference in the course of American history by, following this story to the top and getting Nixon to resign.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
Spoiler alert if you didn't know that.
If you didn't know that, yeah. God is in the details with this film. You talk about the difference in the characters. So much of the character work and the character development is done in like really smart, creative, subtle ways. Early in the film, when Robert Redford, Bob Woodward, is making his calls in this investigation, we get like these inserts of his notepad, and his notepad is just chaos. It is absolute chaos. There's words everywhere. There's random stuff circled. There's different ink colors, and he's making notes in between other words. You learn something about this man from these insert shots. And the way that he like writes his articles, he's a plotter, like he takes notes, copious notes about things, and he gets all his ducks in a row before he writes a story. And then there's moments where we see Bernstein, and I mean, this guy just goes off of gut instinct. Thankfully, because of, journalism, there are people to check him on his shit because otherwise he would just, right. He'd be like, well, I believe it. I have a hunch. I know it's true. And most times he's right, but not always. So, but there's one scene where he's on the phone doing some investigator, and he's at the typewriter, and it seems like he's writing the article as this person is giving him answers. So it's like Woodward is like a super plotter, wants to get all his ducks and facts in a row, and Bernstein's just like, oh, okay, so she's telling me this. Boom, I got the article. I know what I'm writing immediately. There's also great character development in the costume design. They're both kind of like schlubby looking. Their suits don't fit. Their ties are all fucked up. This is probably like the least put together Robert Redford has ever looked in his career, or at least, at this era of his career.
Well, and he still looks great.
Oh yeah.
But yes.
I mean, yeah.
Speaking of like the notepads, like the whole time they're always like, did you write it down? Did you take the note? And I was just thinking about how different that is from now, where like everyone has a phone or a computer, and they're doing research on the internet, and like there's just so many different ways to record and like look for information that we value really highly right now. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yeah, it really just comes down to two people talking and one person writing notes on a little pad.
Yeah.
I love movies where there's no like high tech, unless it's like a science fiction.
Right. Nothing can derail drama like a cell phone in a film, in my opinion. But
Yeah. The fact that Deep Throat is the actual name that this informant chose is amazing, since, it was the name of a very famous porn movie
Yep.
of the time. I think it actually came out the same year, 1972. So I've always loved that. Always thought that was just funny. And the Deep Throat scenes, I think, for me, are probably the most memorable, the ones that stuck with me like over all the viewings, because they're just, they're in this underground parking structure. It's dark. The lighting's very moody.
Yeah.
Deep Throat is shot in like not a full silhouette. Like, you see his eyes. And I think actually throughout the film, like, they might show more and more of his face with each meeting that they have. But yeah, it's just so eerie. And like, we know now watching it, or even the viewers when the film came out, know that Deep Throat, was telling the truth and was leading them in the right direction. But when you're watching the film, it's just like, this is so dangerous feeling.
Hunt's come in from the cold. Supposedly he's got a lawyer with $25,000 in a brown paper bag.
Follow the money.
What do you mean? Where?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
But you could tell me that.
No, I have to do this my way. You tell me what you know, and I'll confirm. I'll keep you in the right direction if I can, but that's all. Just follow the money.
Yeah, it just puts you on edge the whole time. And then, of course, there's the one scene where a car drives through the garage and you're not sure if they were surveilling them or, potentially going to turn the corner and try to run them down, and it's very suspenseful.
And what's funny is, so Hal Holbrook plays Deep Throat in the film. And at the time they were making this film, obviously it was still, we didn't know who Deep Throat was. We didn't find out who Deep Throat was until 2005. Mark Felt announced that he was Deep Throat, in 2005. So when they were making the film, the real Bob Woodward was like working with Robert Redford on the casting of Deep Throat. And he like looked at a bunch of actors and he like kind of pointed to Hal Holbrook and he's like, that's the guy that you should cast for this film. And Hal Holbrook didn't want to do it because he's like, it's not really a big enough part. It's kind of a nothing part, whatever. I'm not interested. Robert Redford went to his home and was like, you need to do this movie. It's very important. And these scenes are the scenes that are going to be the most memorable of the film. And he was onto something.
Yeah. No, I think the casting is so perfect for every character. Like, I don't know what the real people like looked like or sounded like, but just such incredible performances. And yeah, Hal Holbrook, just see his eyes, but you'll never forget him.
Right. Got some of the most memorable lines in political cinema. Follow the money.
Yes, follow the money, which apparently was not ever really said.
Right. But was accurate.
Yes.
And continues to be accurate. I'll talk about just a few more things before we get into some trivia. And then I'll ask you what your favorite moment or favorite scene was. But I love the visuals in this movie, especially when Woodward and Bernstein are like on the run or like on the street, like going from point A to point B. And they're like always show them like exiting a building or getting into a car. And the camera will like shoot them in such a way where it's like they look like ants and you have these massive buildings. So you just kind of get the sense that they are up against these major institutions, the U.S. government. And it just makes them feel so small. And my favorite shot of the movie is earlier in the film, they're going through library checkout cards, because somebody from the Nixon administration was doing a lot of research on Ted Kennedy. So they're trying to like connect some dots about like surveillance against the Democratic Party. So there's a shot where they're literally just going through library cards one by one. And it's a tight shot overhead on the cards. And then the camera starts pulling out wider and wider and wider. And you see this massive U.S. National Library, massive institution. And again, it's just like you see what these guys are up against. Nobody believed in them. Nobody believed their story. They keep pushing for the truth. I mean, this is a true underdog story about what can happen when you stand up to corruption and you do it with integrity. So I just love those shots because I think it really drives home how nearly impossible this whole thing came to be,
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote down the same thing actually in my notes, which I took on paper with a pencil, just saying. But yeah, and just like there's that shot, but there's also like when they're in the car or moving around the city that you just see like all this incredible American Washington, D.C. iconography.
Right.
Like there's one, you see the Washington Monument. And I think my favorite shot of that group is when they drive by the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
But we always see it from the front, is how we're used to seeing it. But you kind of see it like from the side and he's in profile. And I think it's lit like blue or like aqua. And it just makes you be like, yes, they're up against it. And they're in this place full of all these people that had these amazing ideals.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And then adding to the suspenseful creepiness, like there's never anyone out on the street
Yeah.
at nighttime in Washington, D.C., which I guess is true. I don't know. I've spent very little time there, but
it gets eerily ghost towny in Washington, D.C. when the sun goes down because mostly the tourists go away and nobody lives like right in the mall.
Right.
And if they do, they're probably breaking into some hotel, trying to surveil, pull some.
Right. Well, it makes you think like that's probably part of why they feel like they could just get away with it.
Right.
Like they feel like they own the town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite moment, Sonja, before I go into the Gimme Three Pieces of Trivia?
There's like a little moment where Woodward and Bernstein are in an elevator and Bernstein's smoking and he's like, is there any place you don't smoke?
I love that. Yeah.
And then there's also a scene, I know we're talking about Robert Redford, but there's a scene where Dustin Hoffman as Bernstein goes and finally like makes headway with the first person that's going to be their informant from this department.
Right.
The way he just like, she does not want him in her house, but he just like keeps talking and like gets her to sit down and how he's just kind of working his magic. And I just think it's a great scene between the two of them.
Yeah. The scene after that scene is also great where he goes to Woodward's house and he's just got like notes on pieces of toilet paper and matchbooks and cigarette boxes. And he's had like 20 cups of coffee. It's like the performances are great in this movie.
Yeah. He's like, I had to just keep drinking coffee to get her to keep talking.
Right.
Oh, and then there's also the scene where Robert Redford, Woodward, realizes that they're being surveilled in their own homes.
Yeah.
And so he goes to Bernstein's house and like cranks the music and they start typing to each other, which it feels like it's now been copied in so many things, like the idea of playing the music to, avoid being heard because, people are listening. Like, I mean, I think it's like in The Sopranos and I mean, countless things, but I'm just going to say that was the first time because it's the oldest movie I can think of that has it. But
that actually happened.
Yeah,
they actually did that. So
I also think, I don't know if you're going to talk about it in the trivia, but just William Goldman is such an amazing writer. He wrote The Princess Bride, the book and the movie, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So just had to call out his brilliance here.
Well, that's an excellent segue, Sonja, into Gimme Three Pieces of Trivia for All the President's Men.
I want to play a game. I want to play a game.
Piece of trivia number one, as you mentioned, Mr. William Goldman, the screenwriter for this film. He was called into an impromptu meeting at one point during the development or pre-production of this project with Robert Redford, Bob Woodward, and Carl Bernstein. At the time, Goldman's draft of the screenplay had already been accepted, and they were just waiting to hear from Woodward and Bernstein for them to give like the final thumbs up. So at this meeting, they presented Goldman with a new screenplay, totally new screenplay that was written by Carl Bernstein and his then girlfriend, Nora Ephron of rom-com fame, When Harry Met Sally, You've Got Mail, one of my favorite writers also. So Goldman just refused to read that screenplay and walked out of the meeting. There is one scene from that screenplay that was in the final version of the film, and it's a scene where Bernstein outsmarts the secretary to get to see the Miami district attorney, who's played by Ned Beatty. That scene was totally fiction, pure fiction, totally made up, did not happen in real life. But that is a scene that was from Bernstein and Nora Ephron's script. And Woodward was apparently very unhappy with Bernstein's script as well, because it depicted Woodward as like a novice reporter who worshipped Bernstein and his superior talent. And Woodward had to call Goldman and apologize and say, I think he said, here's a quote. I don't know what the 6 worst things I've ever done in my life are, but letting that happen, letting them write that was one of them. Juicy.
Extreme.
Very juicy. All right, piece of trivia number 2. To prepare for their roles, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman, they were actually hanging out at the Washington Post newsroom for several weeks. They would observe reporters and attend staff meetings. And one time, Robert Redford, he was standing in the hallway. This group of high school students come in. They're on a tour of the newspaper offices. And the students, of course, they immediately recognize Robert Redford. They start pulling out their pocket cameras. They're taking pictures. They want to talk to Robert Redford. And at that point, Bob Woodward walks by, and Robert Redford's like, hey, here's Bob Woodward. This is the guy I'm playing in the movie. Don't you want to take a picture with him? And the students were like, nah, not so much.
Stupid kids.
Stupid kids. Kids. I've been saying that since day one. Kids are stupid. Piece of trivia number 3. This is a short one. I just think it is romantic and quite wonderful. At the time of filming in Washington, D.C., Robert Redford stayed at the Watergate Hotel.
Of course. Is it still there?
It's a great question. Let's see. Should we make some calls? Oh, no, we got this thing called the internet now. It looks like it's still there. You can book a room right now for $286 on booking.com or expedia.com.
Hope they've renovated it since then. It's probably a little old, but
right.
Maybe we'll stay there whenever we go to DC.
Yeah, who knows? Any final thoughts, Sonja, before we move on?
Oh, well, I was thinking about how, Watergate, gate has become like the suffix of any scandal, right?
Yep.
So, yes, a very important part of American history and the American vernacular.
Mm-hmm. Even in football, Spygate, Deflategate.
Yeah, and actually, those are the only 2 gates I could think of, but I'm sure it's used in other things.
Yeah.
And not just to refer to the bad deeds of Tom Brady.
Amazing. All the President's Men, one of my all-time favorite films, an American classic. Y'all can check it out. It is streaming on the Criterion Channel.
Well, we will move now into our second film of the day, which is actually the oldest film of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Candidate from 1972, starring Robert Redford and Peter Boyle. The Candidate follows Bill McKay, played by Robert Redford, and his campaign for the California Senate. Bill's a young, idealistic lawyer and son of the former California governor. He isn't planning to run for office or become a politician, but he's convinced to do it by the Democratic Party because they need someone to run against the Republican incumbent nominee. And Bill has a handsome face and an established name due to his father. I have to mention here that the Republican candidate is hilariously named Crocker Jarman. And a crocker he is, for sure.
Crocker Jarman, great name for a Republican senator, who's played by Don Porter, which is also a great name for a Republican senator. They could have just used Don Porter's real name, would have worked also, but not as funny as Crocker Jarman.
Yeah. Crocker Jarman, yes, I know. So Bill takes on the campaign, told that he's going to lose, but he sees it as a way to speak out on the issues he believes in and get some attention for them. Very quickly, however, it turns into a real campaign, and the political machine encourages Bill to water down his message to the point where he essentially says nothing of substance at all. Sound familiar? His wife also buys into the campaign, turning herself into the perfect candidate's wife at the expense of their actual relationship. Of course, this all helps in the polls, and with the last-minute endorsement of his father and his father's powerful union backers, he actually wins the election. The film closes with McKay, moments after the election, asking his campaign manager what happens next. He's quickly enveloped by the media, and the question is never answered. Clearly, neither he nor the party have thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
Just win. It's all about winning. Yeah, I loved this movie. Another one that could be very funny, except that it feels very timely.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was tremendous. Not too long ago, we watched the series Veep, which we loved. This is like a more grounded, tighter version of Veep. It's still satire, but its groundedness, if that's a word, made it feel a bit more, I don't know, biting to me. Also, here's the thing with this one is like we see the character start out as such an idealist. He's like a good person and he's got good intentions, the kind of candidate you like dream about, you know. He's handsome, he's charismatic, he's got a good moral compass. And over the course of the film, we just see that get chipped away, and it just makes the final act all the more tragic and upsetting. When the Veep series starts, Selena Meyer is already jaded and stripped of all of her moral fiber. So we see this.
We don't know that Selena ever had any moral fiber.
That's true. That is true. But we see this man go from good citizen to politician right before our eyes. And that's that horrifying moment at the end when his dad comes like right up to his face and he says, "You're a politician." It's like, oh, Jesus.
So creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth noting that it's not like he's some nobody to start, you know. He's very handsome, he's white, he comes from money, his dad was the governor, so, you know, he's definitely a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy. He's not pursuing politics himself. He's, you know, some kind of good lawyer, like civil rights or environmental law or something like that. And yeah, it is just heartbreaking to see how anyone that can get somewhere in politics has to sacrifice everything about their moral compass, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they don't even get into like the campaign finance stuff in this movie, which is, you know, a whole other thing. But yeah, it definitely made me think of, you know, the politicians that I have admired in my time and how who they were when they started is probably so different from the people that we know by the time that they're, you know, in the public eye. Maybe Bernie is an exception. I don't know. But it's a really funny, fun movie, but it is definitely sad.
Yeah. Yeah, there is like, you know, there's realness to him in the beginning, and not in the sense that people think like Trump is real because he just like attacks everybody. But this is like there's a different kind of realness in this where like somebody asks him early in the film, "What do you think of busing?" And he simply just says, "I'm for it." It's like a very simple answer, and everybody's like, "Oh." And then later, I think it's in the same sequence, somebody asks him another question, and he just says the words, "I don't know." And you hear this reporter go, "Jesus." It's like, oh, imagine that, a politician saying, "I don't know."
Yes, I definitely took note of that moment as well. Like, yeah, he's just being honest, admitting what he doesn't know and not thinking about who he's pissing off or pleasing with his answers. So yes, I mean, I think I think the heart of this movie is really seeing how anybody can be corrupted and silenced by the desire to ultimately do something good, you know, but in a system that's bad.
Yeah, right.
To me, that's what this election is all about. Because the time has passed when you can turn your back on the fundamental needs of the people. And don't think that you can distract them anymore by playing off the young against the old, the black against the white, the poor against the less poor. I think the time has come when the American people realize that we're in this together, and that we sink or swim together. And I say to you, maybe, just maybe, that that's the way it should be. A test of our courage, of our compassion, our faith in ourselves, and our faith in our country. No candidate can come before you and say that he's got all the answers. Crocker Jarman says that he has the answers. Does he? All a man can say is, here I am. And that's what I say to you tonight. Here I am. I'm willing to give it all I've got. Let's make a beginning.
The sound design is really intense in this movie. And I think it won the Academy Award for Best Sound. Again, second movie we're talking about that won Academy Award for Best Sound Design. But yeah, the like scenes where he's out in the public eye, either in the media or like meeting, you know, the public, that's just deafening. It's just like assaultingly loud. And you hear like they've layered in like what seems like hundreds of voices talking to him at once, and cameras flashing and people screaming, and it was just like madness. And it's like, wow, and the camera work in those scenes is also snap zooms and handheld cameras. It's just total chaos.
And again, you see him kind of learn how to like function in that setting. Like he seems so deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
And then later in the film, some young girl like flashes her underwear to him, and he just like smiles.
Yeah.
He's like getting totally jaded by the whole thing.
Right. Well, there's that other scene where some other girl whips out her titties, and she's like, sign my titties. You know, it's just... And then a second later, this other dude hands him a hot dog and punches him in the face. It's like, gee whiz. They love you, they hate you, huh?
Yep. Well, and they really like lean into the fact that his looks are so important. Like his name is what matters to older people,
right,
who like know who his dad was, and then his looks are what matter to the younger people,
right.
And it almost like doesn't matter what he thinks or says.
Right. My favorite shot of the movie is towards the end. It might be on election night or something. I don't remember exactly when it is, but the camera pans across like all of these cameras and TV monitors, and you see like monitor after monitor, and it's like all the different news feeds that are covering the election night. And then it lands on Bill's face. Redford's performance is amazing in it. And he just looks not overwhelmed, not tired, not sad or mad. He just looks empty. Like he is an empty man now. And it's like a very, very haunting image that kind of like leads us into this this climax, which of course ends with, as you mentioned, one of the most like haunting final lines of a film. What do we do now?
Keep trying to win. Keep climbing the ladder.
Right.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene of the movie was the debate between Bill McKay and Crocker Jarman.
Yeah.
For a few reasons. One, because as fucked up as the debate is in terms of the politicking and like the skirting the issues and kind of emptiness of but the showy emptiness of it all, it's so restrained and intelligent relative to what we've come to experience.
Right.
And also like lo-fi. Like it's just two guys sitting in a empty space. You know, there's no like razzle dazzle crap around it.
Yeah. It looks like the Charlie Rose set. It's just a black background and two people sitting at a chair. And it's like, yeah, it's fluff. They're talking fluff, but at least there's like, you get a sense of two candidates and they have different ideas on something. You know what you're voting for God's sakes. It's like, all right. And it's quaint because it's like they're respectful. You know, they wait for the other person to finish talking and then they answer. I noted that as well. It's very quaint by today's standards.
Yeah. And then it ends with Bill's like last gasp at maintaining his old self, right? Because he just can't stand the fact that they're being fed questions that they can give answers that people want to hear. And so it ends with him pointing out, like, we're not talking about all of these issues that are like completely unsolvable and screwed up that nobody has an answer to.
Right.
But they're the ones that are actually affecting the citizens of California.
Right.
And then he does win, but you get the impression he's not going to do much about any of those things, unfortunately.
You do get that impression.
But yes, an incredible performance by Robert Redford. It's so unsensational, but such a like deep, transformative performance.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked kind of a little bit about how a lot of his performances are kind of like restrained, you know, or he doesn't go like too big ever, except in the next movie that we're going to talk about. But for the most part, he's always kind of restrained, or he kind of plays in the minutia, in the subtleties and stuff, which I enjoy. But reading about him and hearing an interview with him, I listened to the Inside the Actor's Studio with him, and talking about growing up. So his dad came up in the Depression, so that's got to be something. And then his mom passed away when he was a freshman in college. When he was talking about that, he was just talking about like how unfair he thought it was that this woman who was not even 40 yet would pass away. And she was like such a good person. And he's like, and it made me very angry. You get the sense that there's like this bubbling anger that he never really got over, you know? And I feel like when you look at a lot of the roles that he chose, you can kind of like see that or feel that, or it's I think it's tangible. So that's really sad and interesting. I didn't know that. I think he might actually be a producer on all three of the movies that we are speaking about today. He is, yeah.
Definitely part of the development of all three. So yeah, someone who was really instrumental in their own career. And I don't think he ever stopped being an activist.
No, he didn't.
I guess he's not Bill McKay.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
didn't have to play that game.
He didn't have to play that game, but if he had decided to run for office, he would have won, obviously. So he probably didn't run for office for that reason, because he wanted to continue to be a good person.
Well, we can't all be Arnold Schwarzenegger. But yes, it's always interesting to think of like, could anyone climb in politics while keeping their essential moral compass and beliefs in check?
Well, Donald Trump, in my opinion, has kept his moral compass consistent. He has always been a gigantic piece of shit. So
that's true. I guess it's easier if you're starting from a low place.
All right. You got 3 pieces of trivia?
I do. 3 pieces of trivia for the candidate.
I want to play a game. I want to play a game.
So the candidate was written by Jeremy Larner, who had worked in politics, specifically for Eugene McCarthy. And he was under pressure to work very quickly because they wanted the film to come out before the 1972 election. So he had about a month to write the script.
Wow.
And he said he wrote from exactly noon till 3 a.m. every day.
Wow.
He also said that without the help he received from Robert Towne, he would not have been able to complete the script.
Interesting. Robert Towne, a notorious procrastinator.
Yeah, sometimes it's like easier to help others than help yourself.
Right.
So that is our first piece of trivia. Second piece of trivia, also related to the writer. Larner had worked as a journalist and speechwriter for Eugene McCarthy, and he said that his experiences with various politicians helped him write the story. He said that the moment that you mentioned earlier, where somebody shakes McKay's hand, hands him a Coke and a hot dog, and then slugs him in the face, is something that really happened to McCarthy.
Jesus.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That was like so shocking.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. Really turned the script on him.
Right.
And then our third piece of trivia is that vice presidential candidate Dan Quayle, who was the vice president under OG Bush, stated that he had seen the film several times and had modeled himself after Bill McKay. This led Warner to writing an open letter to Quayle that said that the film is not a how-to picture. It's a watch-out picture. And it's what you've got to watch out for.
Oh, my God. What an idiot.
Yeah. I want to say Quayle was also the one who like famously misspelled potato. They spelled it Potatooe.
I mean, frankly, at this point, like, pun intended, small potatoes still compared to what we're dealing with now, for God's sakes. This guy could barely speak, and the last guy could barely speak. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I was alive when Dan Quayle was the vice president, but I don't have a strong memory of him other than thinking that he was stupid or like. Right. But yeah, so those are my 3 pieces of trivia for the candidate.
Excellent. It's an excellent picture. The Candidate, it's available to stream on demand, but you don't want to do that. What you really want to do is you want to support your local video stores. So if you live in the Los Angeles area, I got a few recommendations for you. Vidiot's Cinephile Video on Santa Monica Boulevard and Videotech in Pasadena are all excellent options for you to rent The Candidate by Michael Ritchie. Check it out. All right. The final political drama that we're talking about is not only a political drama, it's a romantic drama. And it's called The Way We Were. It's from 1973, the year after The Candidate was released. It's directed by the great Sidney Pollack, written by Arthur Lawrence, based off of his own experiences, and starring, of course, Robert Redford and Barbra Streisand.
I was going to say Streisand.
We got Katie Morosky, who's played by Barbra Streisand, and Hubble Gardner, who's played by Robert Redford. They are college students, and they are living immensely different lives. The year is 1937, and Katie is a Marxist Jewish girl with strong anti-war opinions. And Hubble is a kind of, I don't know, what would you say? A WASP?
Yeah. Like Letterman.
Yeah.
Popular guy.
No real political affiliation. He's just, he's just gorgeous and popular and charismatic. And that's pretty much it. He's also a great writer. And that's kind of where their paths cross is in class. Katie is really taken by Hubble's writing. She admires his good looks too, of course. And who can blame her? But his snobbish friends kind of mock Katie and her passionate political stances. But he's got a thing for her as well. You know, he admires her passion and her political stances. And she's quite beautiful as well. So who can blame him? They share a little dance at their senior prom, and then they part ways. And they cross paths several years later in New York City, the great New York City. And it's near the end of World War II now. And Katie is like, she's got multiple jobs. She's still fighting the fight, you know. And Hubble was back from active duty as a naval officer in the South Pacific. So still an unlikely pair, but an unlikely pair that happens to fall in love. There's always this underlying tension, at least when they're in public settings. She doesn't like his WASP friends, and he's kind of got two sides to him. You know, when he's with her, he's this artful, sensitive man. And then, you know, when they go out, he's totally different, and he's, you know, apolitical and more of a jock. It's very like Danny Zuko situation we got going on here. He doesn't like that she can never like have fun, and everything's always like an issue, or there's always reason to like point out the injustices of everything, and then this political strife everywhere. He's like, God damn, woman, can't you just have a beer? Take it easy. Put your feet up. But they love each other, you know. There is love there. There is passion. They have chemistry. So Hubble receives this. He's written a novel which Katie loves, and he's gotten an offer to adapt this novel into a screenplay. And Katie is like, "Oh my God, you're essentially you're going to sell out. Your talent will be wasted in Hollywood." But despite her apprehensions, they move to Malibu. They move to Hollywood, where Hubble's studio contract offers this affluent lifestyle. And as they're writing this script and moving forward in the film industry, that's when the Hollywood blacklist starts. The House of Un-American Activities Committee. For anybody not familiar, read a book. It's called McCarthyism. Katie's political activism kind of intensifies the situation. It throws fuel on the fire, and it starts jeopardizing Hubble's reputation and livelihood. This just adds even more tension to their already kind of tumultuous relationship. Adding even more complications to this tumultuous relationship is Katie is pregnant. She's about to have Hubble's child. Differences, not just in political ideals and stance on certain things, but just differences force them to separate. And once again, we meet them years later, years after they've separated. Katie and Hubble meet by chance in front of the Plaza Hotel in New York City, where Katie is still fighting the good fight. She's at a ban the bomb demonstration, runs into Hubble and his new gal, and she says, what does she say? What's that line from Sex and the City? Your
girl is lovely, Hubble.
Your girl is lovely, Hubble. And they go their separate ways, doing what they do best. She fights the good fight, trying to make the world a better place, and he goes on being handsome. The Way We Were. Sonja, what'd you think of this flick?
Oh, man. I have never felt so much dread watching a love story where, like, I mean, honestly, things are mostly going fine for them
right.
for most of the movie.
Yeah. But you get the sense that it's not going to.
No. Well, it's the way we were, not
right.
the way we are. I liked it. It's totally not what I expected. Same. I did not know that this movie had anything to do with politics, which is definitely what makes it stand out from, you know, there could be plenty of movies about a failed relationship, you know, or class differences or,
right.
you know, things like that. But, you know, the political stuff is definitely what makes this movie stand out and probably stand the test of time a little bit more.
It makes it unique. It makes it sharp.
It makes their conflict so much deeper than just their personalities. And like the way that they see the world is is big, you know. It's not just about the details of their personal lives.
Right.
I liked it. I was surprised that I cried at the end because I was like, oh, it's so predictable. Like these people it was never going to work. But then I find myself crying.
It's like, for our listeners at home, so the movie ends, you know, and Sonja goes to the bed, and I look over her, you know, she's crying, you know, she's sniffling and this and that, which is, you know, understandable. It is heart wrenching, and it's an emotional roller coaster you go on in this relationship. But she goes to the bathroom, she goes back, she's like, yeah, I don't know about it. I was like, you were crying. the movie did its job. You were crying in this thing.
No, I think what kind of drove me crazy, and maybe it's because I identify with it on some level, is like she just loves him to the point of like desperation. And he is so distant, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's like you and me. I'm just saying I relate to it from the past.
Right. Well, I've been on both sides. I mentioned that I was the Robert Redford, but then I thought about it. I actually have been on both sides of the coin here. Now it's tough on both. It's like both sides suck, you know. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there was genuine love there, and in the performances, there was definitely sexual tension there. Like Streisand and Redford, they got great chemistry in this movie, in the romantic scenes, in the lovely scenes, in the sex scenes, in the tease of sex scenes. Very titillating. It's your $5 word of the day. But also, and probably more so, when they are like butting heads and arguing, you really get these two actors swinging for the fences. This is probably the most passionate we see Robert Redford in the three films that we're discussing today. Like, it's fun to see him take it up to 11, so to speak, because you rarely get to see it. And so I think those scenes where they are butting heads and going at each other, those were electric.
You okay? You're bleeding.
I'm fine. It's always fun meeting trains, no?
I'm sorry, Hub. I really didn't expect this.
You didn't expect to come to Hollywood and get a chance to tell off the world either, did you?
Is that what you think I'm doing?
You bet I do.
I'm not telling off the world, Hubble. I'm just standing up for something I believe in. Doesn't it make you angry listening to Bissinger ridicule those men? Calling them martyrs just because they have guts, which he doesn't? To fight for their principles, to fight for their Bill of Rights, his Bill of Rights and yours?
Bill of Rights? What Bill of Rights? We don't have any Bill of Rights. We don't have free speech in this country. We never will have.
We never will if people aren't willing to take a stand for what's right.
We never will have because people are scared. This isn't college. This is grown-up politics, Katie. And it's stupid and dangerous.
What are you telling me to do? Sit by and shut up just because it's dangerous?
I'm telling you it's a waste. That's what I'm telling you. And that those men and their families are only going to get hurt. And that nothing is going to change. Nothing. And after jail, after 5 or 6 years of bad blood, when it's practical for some fascist producer to hire some communist writer to save his because his hit movie's in trouble, he'll do it. They'll both do it. They'll make movies. They'll have dinner, they'll play tennis, they'll make passes at each other's wives. Now, what in the hell did anybody ever go to jail for? For what? A political spat?
Hubble, you are telling me to close my eyes and to watch people being destroyed so that you can go on working. Working in a town that doesn't have spine enough to stand up for anything but making a blessed buck.
I'm telling you that people are more important than any goddamn witch hunt. You and me. Not causes, not principles.
Hubble, people are their principles.
Oh, God.
No, I have no doubt that they did love each other, and you know that's what makes me cry at the end.
Yeah.
You also feel like he just never is willing to give of himself fully,
and he probably never will. That's what you get the sense
certainly.
Of. Yeah, you know.
Oh well, when you see the new wife,
yeah.
I mean, your girl is lovely. Hubble is her way of telling him that he's a fuck up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like that's all she is. She's lovely.
Right.
does she have a point of view?
Right.
Is she going to challenge you?
Right.
Is she going to inspire you? No.
Not all of us can be so lucky, love.
It's true. Not everyone meets the perfect partner that they get to be with for their whole lives.
Yeah.
Well, and that would make a very boring movie. Our lives would be so dull. Like, oh, now they're watching TV and agreeing on things.
They're both reading together. Oh God.
Again, although this is the Robert Redford episode, this is the Barbra. Barbra steals the movie for me.
It is. She does. I mean, she really does steal it. She just is so. I mean, we talked about this on our Barbra Streisand episode, which everybody should listen to because I think it's one of the best episodes we've done. Our good friend Max Sopkin joined us for that one. But her face is just like, you cannot blink when she is on screen because she is so gorgeous and her charisma is so magnetic. It's just like, I don't know. She does something. She puts like a spell on you or something. Both of them in this movie. It's like, he's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. It's nice.
Yeah.
They're nice to look at. If nothing else, if you don't like love stories or political films, they're nice to look at. I'll tell you that.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the first scene that we see them together is in the post-college days, but pre-relationship days. So I don't know what, 1944 or 1945.
Right.
And when he's back from the military.
Yeah.
And he's like asleep in this like crowded ass restaurant bar.
Yeah.
And she's just looking at him with these doe eyes. And, I feel like everybody in the audience is in her shoes. Like you're just watching this gorgeous man sleep. And you're like, I want to wake him up, but I also just kind of want to let him sleep.
Right.
But going to that part of like how they introduce him, he's wearing a military outfit or like a naval uniform. Yeah. He is in this, 40s bumpin' club like we've seen in like a ton of movies. There's like a nice tracking shot through this crowd. There's music. Yeah, exactly. All these things. And this man is asleep. And I feel like that is the metaphor for his life.
Yeah.
He sleeps through everything.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it is his privilege of being presumably, somewhat well off, beautiful, like everything came easy to him. And he just sleeps through life. I mean, even the McCarthyism stuff that's happening when they're in Hollywood, like he's just always kind of feels like nothing is going to touch him and he doesn't really have to commit or fight or take action. And even of their relationship.
Right.
He doesn't have to, he cheats on her. So he doesn't fully commit there. He doesn't stick around when she has a child.
Right.
Like he just lets himself be a non-entity on a certain level. And whereas she's like a woman and a Jew and probably not as financially well off as evidenced by her 5 jobs.
Right.
And she just always has to fight and she has to be wide awake at all times. And so, it makes like for a really strong dynamic for the film, but it does also make it like extremely frustrating.
It's maddening.
Like, how could you be in a relationship with this man?
Right.
And he's so gifted, right? We don't hear too much of his writing, but they tell us several times that he is, a truly gifted writer who again, like doesn't try that hard.
Right. That's what, and like, I don't know. I kind of gleaned that as like, is he that gifted a writer or is it just cute? Are they just impressed that he is that cute and can write pretty well? But yes, I agree with everything you're saying. It is a bit maddening at points. And I like that Redford took this role because it is such a, like, he plays such a fuck, like in a certain sense, and you like want to like him, but he makes it really hard. But it's a very interesting role for Redford to take on. But like you said, Streisand really steals the film. It's her movie.
What were your thoughts on the theme song?
Personally, the theme song itself, I heard the song before, and I like the song. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful song. I think Barbra's performance in it is immaculate, gorgeous. I love her voice. In the film, it didn't work for me as well. But what they would do is they would like, the score was essentially an orchestral version of the original song. And whenever that would come up in the film, I thought it was wonderful. I loved it. I wish they used it more, in fact. The original song itself, when used in the film, it felt a little out of place for me. Although I do like the song in a vacuum. What'd you think of it?
I had never heard the song before, but it annoyed me in the movie. But I was also like putting myself in the shoes of someone watching it at the time and how like it was probably amazing.
Right.
You know, huge part of its success. I mean, I think it was like a number one song.
I think it won the Academy Award.
Yeah, I was like probably won awards. But yes, like at the end of the movie, because they play the song at the beginning and the end, and I was like hoping at the end that they would not play the song and just do the score.
Right.
Alas, gotta put that hit song in your movie.
Yeah. I believe this did win the Academy Award for Best Original Song and potentially Best Score also. Now I gotta look it up. Damn it. 21st Annual Academy Award.
Yes, it won Best Score and Song.
Yeah, there you go.
And it was nominated for Best Actress, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, and Best Costume Design, which the costumes are gorgeous.
Yes, the costumes are gorgeous. It's a solid film. It is. It hurts. It's painful watch, if we're being honest, but I think it's a worthwhile watch.
I agree.
Especially,
I mean, it is a classic.
Yeah, it is a classic, but especially today, like some of the discussions that they have, and they're always behind closed doors, some of the best discussions they have. But I mean, they are really pertinent to the world today. So for nothing else, those moments are worth checking it out for.
I think anything relating to McCarthyism is worth revisiting now. We're there.
Yep.
I also think worth noting that it's directed by Sidney Pollack.
Mm-hmm.
The late great Sidney Pollack.
Yep.
Wait, I'm like, is he late? I think he is.
I think he did pass a few years ago.
Okay. You don't want to mark someone late when they're still here.
Especially he was so prompt always. So
yeah, exactly. The punctual Sidney Pollack, who I noted directed several Robert Redford films.
Yeah. Jeremiah
Johnson, 3 Days of the Condor, and Out of Africa.
Oh, he did Out of Africa too. Wow.
Yeah.
What a career.
Clearly Robert Redford liked working with him.
Yeah. I do have here, Gimme Three letterboxed reviews for The Way We Were.
www.letterboxd.com. 1 star. 2 stars. 3 stars. 4 stars. 5 stars.
All right. Give it to me.
And I'm going to start with Kylo, who gives the film 4 stars. He's one of the types of people, Kylo, that puts the quotes at the top of their reviews. Like some letterboxd reviewers always have to put a quote from the film at the top. I don't know about it. But anyways, I'll read the quote he put before I read the review. It's the quote, "I hate the palm trees. I wish it would rain." And that was the one. That was the one time where I was like, okay, Katie, for God's sakes, would you just stop? Would you just enjoy the fucking earth for a second?
Stop negging out, girl.
Yeah.
Like you live in freaking Malibu.
Here comes Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I think we both were like, ugh, come on.
Yeah.
Don't be so New York.
Anyways, Kylo's review was the way Barbra Streisand was acting at the start of the movie. I didn't know if she was going to get Robert Redford or a restraining order. Ironing his shirt, getting into bed naked while he's passed out drunk, buying him steaks. She knew what she wanted. Barbra was amazing as usual, and I feel like we need more movies that just keep playing the backtrack of the title of the song over and over.
But yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. Like her behavior, her like desperation was like upsetting me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I think it's because I was like, oh shoot, I have done dumb shit like that too.
Well, and you just see what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you're like, and it never goes well when you're that freaking pathetic with a man.
But fuck, man. Can you blame her? Look at him.
Yeah. He's the Brad Pitt of his generation. Or vice versa, I guess. Brad Pitt. Robert was like, hey.
Yeah. Phoebe gives the film 4 stars and a like. She says, I'll never forget when I was watching this with my mom, and we were talking about how great Katie is. And I asked if I'm a Katie, and my mom said I was Carol Ann or the nameless blonde at the end. Sorry, Phoebe. Mother knows best.
Oh, that Carol Ann. She's the one he cheats with.
Yeah. I'm going to butcher this person's name. Hanaya gives the film 5 stars and a heart.
Oh.
And she says, it's a tale as old as time. Men want you for your manic pixie dream girlness, only for that to become annoying when it's no longer fun. Might be the original manic pixie dream girl here.
I don't know if I would call her a manic pixie dream girl. She's got a hell of a lot more depth.
That's true.
Than I think she is a manic New York Jewish girl.
There you go. That's what it is. Far more interesting and far more harder to write, which is why we get so few of it these days. Amazing film. It's worth checking out. The Way We Were. It is available to stream on demand, or like I mentioned, you can check it out at your local video stores. We recommend you do. Support your local video stores, everybody.
Can I give you one little tie-in that I read on Wikipedia that brings all 3 of these films together?
Oh, please do.
Before we go. So this is from wikipedia.com.
Never heard of her.
So it said that Robert Redford began learning about the Watergate break-in while promoting The Candidate, because it happened shortly before that movie came out.
Right.
And then he was reading the Woodward and Bernstein articles in the Washington Post while he was filming The Way We Were.
Wow.
And so these all came out within 4 years of each other.
Yeah.
These films. As he was working on these 2 other films, he was putting the pieces together for All the President's Men.
Wow.
And the first time he spoke with Woodward was after, I don't know if you remember in All the President's Men, I'm sure you do, that they do report one inaccurate thing.
Yeah.
And they say that like Haldeman did something. I forget the details. Mm-hmm. But it was right after that he first reached out to Woodward. And that was when they started their relationship.
Wowee. Lovely little details of connecting all 3 movies. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I just was reading Wikipedia and I was like, well, they literally referenced all 3 of these films in one paragraph. So I feel that we must share that.
Boom. There you go. Well, there are 3 amazing films, 3 pertinent films, 3 powerful films. Recommend you guys check them all out. Check out all of Robert Redford's work, or as much of it as you want to. I just recently watched Lions for Lambs also, which got shat on by critics. And if you go on Letterboxd, I mean, it's nothing but shat. I enjoyed the film. It's a little bit on the nose, but just staying on theme with the political films. I enjoyed it, and it's staring in the face of totalitarianism right now. I don't know. It didn't seem so on the nose to me. It's like, I don't know. Anyways, Redford, an extraordinary filmmaker, an extraordinary man. The cinematic universe independent, and Hollywood is going to miss him dearly. So, Robert Redford, thanks for your work. Thanks for sharing these 3 films with us. We want you all to watch them and let us know what you think, and you can do that in a few different ways. You can message us on Instagram by typing in Gimme Three Podcast. That's GIMME, spell out 3 podcast. And you can also send us a text message by scrolling down to our episode description and clicking the link that says send us a text message. Message will go directly into our inbox. We want to hear what you think of Robert Redford and these films. If you want to support the show, there's a few different ways to do it. 3 ways to do it. In fact, this is the Gimme Three Podcast. Way number 1 to support the show is to sign up for our Patreon for a mere $5 a month. Just helps us keep the microphones on, and there's some bonus content on there as well that you can check out. Our Patreon is also in the link of our episode description, so check that out. Number 2 is you can set our episodes to automatically download. Helps both of us out. It just helps out our show if you download our episodes, but it also helps you out if you are sans Wi-Fi ever, or if you're on a plane and you want to listen to the Gimme Three Podcast. This is a great plane podcast, by the way. Boom. There you go. You have it. It's downloaded. And then, of course, the final way is to just let your friends know. Let your friends know. If they like movies, they're probably going to like the Gimme Three Podcast. So share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your Robert Redford aficionados. If they are Robert Redford aficionados out there, please share this episode with them. Sonja, do you want to let the audience know where they can find you on Letterboxd?
I do, but first I just want to say my favorite Robert Redford directorial project is A River Runs Through It.
Aha.
Starring Brad Pitt. Robert Redford is not in it, but it is incredible. Takes place in Montana. Highly, highly recommend it. I will definitely cry. I might cry just talking about it. I also wanted to say hi to my Aunt Patricia because she said she can't wait to listen to this episode.
Nice. Hello, Aunt Patricia.
Hi, Aunt Patricia. Big Robert Redford fan. And you can find me on Letterboxd at Sonja M. SONJAM.
Sonjam.
Sonjam. That's what my friend Melissa Wheeler calls me.
You can find me on Letterboxd, on Instagram, and on Blue Sky at Nicholas Ybarra. Ybarra is spelled with a Y. We want to thank you all for listening to the Gimme Three Podcast, and we will see you at the movies.